Right now in the US and really all over the world, we have major issues with housing affordability. And you can pretty much boil it down to that this is a housing affordability crisis, guys. And the crazy thing is, this just keeps getting worse in so many different ways. I'm going to start this video off today with a story I read this morning about this woman in Idaho. She had a nice, modest, tiny home built for herself, only about 250 square feet, and she found a place to park the tiny home where she signed a 1-year lease next to a landlord that had a house with running water and plumbing and things like that, so she could connect the tiny home to the utilities. And supposedly this was perfectly legal. Parking her tiny house, okay, was legal. And the city's zoning code allows boats, trailers, recreational vehicles, and tiny homes on wheels to park indefinitely. At face value, this was not against the law, right? But the catch is that nobody can live in them, which means that the moment that she started living in her tiny home in this lot, she was breaking the law. And then what ended up happening on August 1st of this year is she actually was evicted by the zoning police, okay? And as if things aren't already crazy enough in Idaho, it's been one of the most overheated housing markets anywhere in the entire country. And now this woman is facing homelessness because she has a tiny home and nowhere to put it right now. So this is crazy, guys, all because of red tape BS and different things that these municipalities are coming up with to basically block people from putting tiny homes in places where it's really not causing any harm. So what's happening now is this woman is suing the city of Meridian, Idaho with a constitutional lawsuit. She's being represented along with her landlord because her landlord's on her side, and obviously the landlord's losing the rental income, and both parties agreed to have the tiny home on this property. So there shouldn't be any reason not to be able to park it there. And basically the grounds for her lawsuit are that she is asserting her rights to live within her means in a safe manner that hurts no one. And good for her. I hope she wins this lawsuit because this is nuts, guys. I mean, everywhere in the country, we're having problems with housing affordability issues. And then you're gonna get the zoning police out there like this trying to kick people out of places when they're not hurting anyone. This is criminal. This is very wrong and it shouldn't be happening. So I really hope that this woman wins her lawsuit. I don't know if she will or not, but if I hear anything about this in the future, I'll be sure to keep you guys posted, because it's not just here that they're having issues. You know, there was another place in Calhoun, Georgia, where they were going to build small cottages, 540 square feet, right? And the units obviously be affordable and sustainable and safe. And the proposal to build this was rejected because no homes in the area could be built less than 1,150 square feet. So literally we have politics and zoning issues getting in the way of people having affordable places to live. And not everybody that lives in a tiny home or a mobile home, you know, wants to have a big house. Some people want to have a small place, you know. Sometimes it's just easier and obviously it's cheaper. Whew. Getting through the little jungle here. By the way, today we're in a new neighborhood. I'm over on Stillwater Drive in Miami Beach. Every single house that you see on both sides of me here are waterfront houses. So far I haven't seen any for sale, but if we do, you can rest assured it's going to be expensive. But some states are taking a little bit of a proactive stance on this, like Nevada, for example, passed a law that will require cities and counties to make room for tiny homes by 2024, which is right around the corner. So that sounds promising. LA opened up a tiny home village, and other states like Colorado, Minnesota, and Oregon are taking measures to legalize tiny homes on wheels. So I guess this is going to be yet another issue that's going to go state by state to see where exactly you can park these things, and you know, if the local laws are going to get more lenient on it or they're going to be stricter on it. So that is yet to be seen, but I hope that this becomes a more sustainable option in the future, because a lot of people are going to opt for tiny home living or mobile home living, manufactured home living, anything like that, not only out of necessity, guys, but just out of the fact that maybe they just want to save money and have a simple life. And last time I checked, this is the United States, and people should be able to do that without being bothered. So let's see how this goes. Over the past year, between 2021 and the first half of 2022, it turns out that 1/3 of all home buyers that purchased a home within that time period, they actually paid over asking price, guys. And according to this article that I read, they're saying that 1 in 8 people, which is 12% of these buyers, they paid more than 30% over asking price for their house. So can you imagine paying 30% over asking price for a home that you recently bought? To me, this sounds like insanity. And it's no surprise that a good whopping 70% of home buyers during this time frame were also first-time home buyers, guys. So these guys are just getting hit from all angles. They're getting hit from inexperience by paying way over asking price, and most of them only took about a month to find a house. You know, they submitted a few offers and then they FOMO'd in and got something. And it's no wonder that a bunch of these people have buyer's remorse. But the worst part about it is when I think on my real estate career and all the buyers I helped, and I helped a lot more first-time home buyers back at the beginning of the last housing crash than I have over the past several years. There was more people around back then looking to buy because there were, you know, first-time home buyer grants and tax benefits and things like that to help people get into properties back then, and also things were very cheap. But let me tell you guys, every time I worked with a first-time home buyer in the past, it was a huge pain in the ass, okay? People were very hesitant and skeptical about putting offers on anything, and I spent months with every single client, and some of them didn't even end up buying. So it was a huge uphill battle working with first-time buyers, to the point where I really didn't want to work with them anymore because their lack of experience and skittishness just made it too difficult to, you know, make a good transaction, and a lot of them would pass up on good deals because they were just too scared to make an offer. And now you fast forward to today, and it seems like it's the complete opposite. These guys were so desperate to get their hands on that cheap money, you know, these low interest rate loans. They just opted in to buy any property they could, essentially, and most of these properties did not check all the boxes on their wish list, and so many of them have buyer's remorse. And I just can't believe that, you know, just 14 years later, essentially, this is the situation where first-time home buyers went from being extremely careful and diligent and like basically overly worried about the buying process to just saying, screw it, I'm just gonna buy the first place I see. I don't care what type of issues it has, I just need to get a house. So no wonder we're in this situation now where home values are completely out of control, because when you throw in institutional investment being at an all-time high and these first-time home buyers that don't have a clue what they're doing jumping in the market just because, well, this brings us to where we're at today. Mortgage demand, once again, guys, is continuing to fall, okay? And the rates are also going back up again. Most of the average rates that people are getting now around 5.8%, so that's inching very close to the 6%. And let's not forget that those rates are reserved for the most credit-worthy buyers. I have to go through like this little jungle right here just to get through here. This place has like the foreclosure look going on, no doubt. Everything's overgrown here on this place. So mortgage applications also dropped an additional 2% for the week and are 23% lower now than they were 1 year ago. And it's no surprise that refinancing activity has plummeted as well, and refinancing is down a whopping 66% year over year, guys. So that is a huge decrease in the amount of people refinancing right now. So the mortgage industry is going to continue to feel pain going well into 2023. And I think that anybody who wants to get a loan in 2023 is going to have less lending options, and you're probably going to be looking at mainly rates that are in the high 6s or even 7%. depends, guys, where this goes. The Fed is committed to doing more interest rate hikes. You see, we're already at the end of the street here. It's just this big, long street with a cul-de-sac. The Fed did say in their meeting at Jackson Hole that you can expect another 75 basis point increase in September. So we can pretty much rest assured that's coming. And look what's happening, guys. The stock market's been plummeting, 30-year mortgage rates are up. Everything is going to continue to deteriorate from here. And the crazy thing about it is somehow the Fed still thinks we can avoid a recession. They're not even admitting yet that this is a recession. And they're basically saying we're going to have to go into a situation where we're at below trend growth. So they're using all these stupid catchphrases and jargon that nobody understands to try and make it look like we're not in a recession when it has been official for weeks now, guys. Because we've had the 2 negative GDP quarters, this is a recession. And the fact that these guys are still trying to say that it's not is just unbelievable to me. And somehow they think we can still avoid one with their interest rate hikes coming in waves like this instead of all at once, which is just nuts, okay? Now, I hope that the Fed does continue with their interest rate hikes because it's something that needs to be done to fight inflation. However, one can argue that they're just not doing it fast enough, and it's just not working quick enough either. And they've already thrown out the idea that this is going to be a soft landing, guys. So everything that they've said since all this inflation crap started has been false, whether it's because of negligence, whether it's because of stupidity, or just ignorance. I don't know. It's probably a little bit of all of them, but I don't know. The only good thing we can say about it is that more interest rate hikes are coming, and rates will probably be high indefinitely, but that's about it. Finally got one for sale here. I'm not sure which one it is, if it's this one or the other one. I think it's probably this one. The sign is closer to this house. Man, I'll tell you what, for this being such a nice neighborhood, supposedly, they need to start working on this landscaping. These yards are trash, and every time I gotta walk through the sidewalk here, I'm dodging branches and thorns. Another interesting thing I read today was this article addressing whether or not you as a parent or a grandparent should help your millennial or Gen Z daughter or son or granddaughter or grandson buy a home. Should you help? That's basically the question that this article addresses. And I'm not here to tell anybody what to do when it comes to this. Anybody can do what they want, but I want to point out some things that they talked about in here that could be potential problems if you decide to do this. Now, the first thing that I see as a real estate agent, as somebody that's been commenting on the housing market now for a while, is just the fact that people are doing this, that parents and grandparents are helping, the younger generation get into a home. This is helping fuel this affordable housing crisis, okay? Because I don't have any stats or data on how many people used to buy houses on their own versus how many get help from an older adult now or an older family member. But the fact that they are helping when prices are at all-time highs is a signal to me that things are even more artificially inflated because people who literally cannot afford or do not qualify to buy are getting help that they otherwise would not have, and they don't have the actual ability to buy on their own. So that's the first thing. And then, of course, if you are going to do this, if you are going to help out, then there's pretty much 2 ways to do it. You can either give them a loan or just gift them the money and just give them money for a down payment, whatever, or you can become a co-signer. And of course, there's pros and cons to both sides of doing this. And if you decide to become a co-signer, then I hope you really understand the credit of your son or granddaughter or whoever it is you're signing for, because if they need a co-signer, truly the only reason they should need one is because they just don't have old enough credit, which means they're also pretty young and probably not even in the best financial shape to even buy a house to begin with. So that would be my first concern. The second thing is, if you do co-sign, this could affect your ability to buy a home, because remember, guys, when you co-sign, your name is on the loan as well, And this goes against your borrowing power. So two things here. One, if they do default on the loan, you're going to be the one that needs to pay up, and it's going to affect your credit score just as much as theirs. But besides being on the hook if they don't pay, guys, the other thing is that if you ever want to get a loan for your own house or buy an investment property, or say you want to buy a new car, this is going to take a hit on your credit report as well. So co-signing a loan is easily the more dangerous route to go if you are going to help one of your younger family members. So a lot of people will just opt to give money for the down payment instead, either as a gift or as a loan. Now, I didn't have any help buying any of the real estate I've ever bought, guys. I never got help from my parents or grandparents, so I'm not saying that no one ever should. But again, this is one of those things in life where I feel like people need to figure out how to do it on their own. Not just because I did, but because that's what will teach people the ultimate financial responsibility. And imagine this, if you give your kid money to buy the house, and then they do end up in a bad financial situation, even if you're not a co-signer, then they might be more likely to walk away from that property, especially now with values starting to go down, and they could end up in a negative equity situation. Then how do you think they're going to react to that? Now, depending on your kid and how grateful they are, or how much the appreciation they have for you helping them, maybe they'll do everything they can to hold on to that property. Or if they're a spoiled rotten brat, then they might just let it go because they're like, hey, it's not my money, what do I care? So obviously there's risks that come along with helping your kids or your grandkids to buy property, and that's just really touching the surface of it, to be honest. And I think you should do whatever you feel is right. And obviously all parents and grandparents want their kids to have a safe place to live, especially if they're starting a family. But I don't know, guys. I don't know if that's the right way. I feel like everyone needs to make their own way in the world, and the only way to really learn financial responsibility in life is to truly do it on your own. I wish I had help to buy any property that I've ever bought. That would be great, but I didn't, you know? And I feel like I'm smarter because of it, because I was able to figure it out. I had to hustle that much harder to make it happen. And people that never have to experience that might just never really fully appreciate, you know, what it takes to get ahead in life. People have been asking me about Florida insurance updates. Well, I got two in a row for you. Not only did I have one in the last video, but here's another one, guys. The latest thing, which I can't believe is happening, is some homeowner insurance companies are now dropping your coverage if you get solar panels installed on your house. And there's a lot of different reasons they're dropping coverage, but this recently happened to a woman who lives in Oakland Park, Florida. She installed an 8,000 kilowatt system on her roof, and she had Edison insurance. And after it was done, the insurance company sent out an inspector to check it all out. And then a couple weeks later, she got a letter in the mail saying her insurance was going to be canceled. She's lived in the house since 2001, never filed a claim. And the reason cited in the letter for cancellation is that her solar panels are ineligible for coverage due to the age of her roof, which is 11 years old, and because she has a tile roof. This one here is for rent. I'm sure they're asking crazy amounts of money to rent this place. Now, obviously, companies that install these solar panels and are advocates for them say that these claims are unjustified from the insurance companies because so many safety concerns and things like that need to be addressed in order to install these solar panels. And the utility companies also have the ability to come and shut them off if they suspect any safety issues. But the insurance companies are saying that it makes it more risky for them because if there are severe winds from, like, say, a Category 3 hurricane, the solar panels are more likely to lift off the roof in the event of a big windstorm. So there's that. They're also saying that there's a greater chance of fires because if there's any hail or wind damage to the solar panels, it could potentially spark a fire. So of course they have all different types of excuses of why this is a problem. And It's already been tough enough to get insurance down here, guys, so let me just tell you right now, if you're going to be moving to Florida or you live here now and you're thinking about doing solar panels, you need to look into, will your insurance company continue to cover you? And if they will, how much will it go up? Because what's also been happening is people that have been able to keep their coverage, their premiums are going up significantly if their insurance company doesn't flat out drop them. So this sucks, obviously, if people want to get solar, especially since it's, you know, being pushed hard now, and there's tax incentives to do it and all of this, but people are now getting hammered on yet another thing that should be easy to do, and there's consequences and repercussions for trying to do something for your property to just make life a little bit more sustainable. So it's nuts. If you guys enjoyed this video and you found it entertaining, please subscribe to the channel. Check out my next video on the screen right over here, and I'll catch you over in the next one.